Welcome back to the Bet. It's week 12, Sunday evening, my little private recording time. And I'm sitting here shaking my head because we're trying to document this week a complete revolution that happened in the span of 48 hours. I went into a coaching call Tuesday morning thinking we would be figuring out what to do with Memo. And I came out restructuring my entire business and adding $100K to next year's revenue. And the crazy part is, I almost canceled that call. Every journey starts with a choice, and mine is a bet. For 1 year, I'm gambling on energy over strategy. No more forcing and no pushing. Just the courage to show up and see what happens when reality becomes my playground. This isn't a podcast. It's a real-time experiment in the lab of my life. Welcome to the Bet. This has been one of those weeks that started out one way and then went a totally different direction, one I could not have predicted. So let me roll it back to when I wrapped up recording last week's episode. I remember finishing the editing for last week and feeling so sick of talking about Instagram. How did this podcast become the Instagram show? Every week I was finding myself talking about Instagram this, Instagram that, like it is some fundamental requirement for building this business. That feeling I had at the end of last week, that sick and tired feeling, got me thinking, okay, if I'm not going to do Instagram, then what? Because here's the thing, I never go on Instagram thinking, ooh, let me open up this app and see what I'm going to learn today. I don't think anybody does that. I go to support the people I admire. I go to check if anyone's resonating with what I've shared, and then I exit. And that's how I've always used Instagram. I have trained my mind to deprioritize the scroll, so I don't often get pulled into that, because what I am all about, which is training your mind, it directly contradicts what Instagram's all about. So I found myself at the beginning of this week starting to spiral into thinking about whether or not I needed to dive into the YouTube territory, because multiple people have told me that that's where the learners are. That's where content lives forever instead of disappearing into the void, right? On YouTube, something you create today could be discovered today, tomorrow, in 2 weeks, or in 2 years. And it could change someone's life, 5 years from now. And on Instagram, that is a platform that is built for quick turnaround. Even the best posts get about 48 hours of shelf life, if they're lucky. But even that, I was getting confused with, because my actual Instagram data shows the opposite of what I've been told. My audience is growing, my engagement is up, the numbers are telling me it's working, and my little static posts that aren't supposed to be doing jack shit on Instagram, everybody says that's the worst kind of post you could do. Those things grow and grow and grow over time. So who knows? This is why I ended up in my head about all of this. And I was in this space of asking, is my resistance to starting a YouTube channel, like starting something from scratch, is that something I need to face? Is that a productive kind of resistance that has a transformation on the other side of it? Is it a growth edge that I need to push through? Or, and this is where my brain went, is this my pattern? Am I just at the point where I'm starting to see some real traction and some real success with Instagram, and now I am immediately looking for some way to make it more complicated by adding YouTube to the mix, when Instagram is finally working for me on some level? Because I know myself, and I also know how human brains work. The moment something starts working, the moment we really start to have some success, the tendency is to add complexity. It's like, I can't just let this be simple and successful. We have to make it hard. We have to struggle for our success, right? And by Monday, I was convinced that this was what I needed to talk to Carly about on our coaching call. This pattern of mine of starting to make things more complicated as a tool to distract me from what's really working. Plus, I knew that we had already talked about looking at the memo data to figure out what to do with that product. So here's a little context, something you need to know about Tuesday's call, because Carly's fee is $700 a session. And earlier this month, I almost canceled. Actually, twice, I think I thought of canceling. I kept questioning whether that was really the best use of $700 right now, given everything that I have going on. But I have two rules in this bet, and rule number 2 is that I refuse to make decisions from fear or from lack. So I kept the appointment. And thank God I kept that appointment. So Tuesday arrives, Carly and I hop on a call. We both think we're getting ready to discuss Memo's future, look at the data, make decisions about what we're going to do, restructuring the sales mechanism, all of it. But first we start talking about the identity shifts from last month, the giant life curveball I had, how my worst nightmare came true and how I navigated it, how powerful I felt coming through all of that. And then I bring up the YouTube resistance. As I'm talking through, she's asking me some questions about it, and then she stops me. Laura, you need to watch this recording back. You need to watch your face when you talk about YouTube. And by the way, did you hear the actual sound you made when I asked you, how do you feel about making YouTube videos? Apparently I went like, ugh, and my whole face melted. And she's right. When I think about actually doing YouTube, creating videos, editing, uploading, optimizing, planning out a whole strategy, it is a giant hell no. But when I think about having a library of knowledge people could access forever, that would be amazing. And she looks at me and she says, you already have that. It's like, what are you talking about? She said, isn't that what Memo is? You already have that library. How many YouTube videos could you possibly make that aren't already covered in Memo? It was like, boom, she's right. She's right. I already have 180 something episodes. Every angle, every framework, every breakthrough that I have documented, it's all there. So then she shifts gears completely. Talk a little bit more. And she says, I want to ask you a question. How would you feel if tomorrow an Olympian reached out to you and said, I'd like you to help me train my mind? Then my whole body lit up. It's an instant yes, full activation. She's like, or maybe a politician, somebody who's really striving for an elite goal and has a real mission to bring something new into this world. And they're worried about how they're going to be perceived. And they'd like your help to train their mind. I'm getting chills again, even as I'm speaking about this right now. I'd never thought about that. I'd certainly never thought about Olympians specifically. But Carly and I have talked about this before. I have always seen myself as the person who helps other people do far greater things than I'll ever do. I don't think I'm here to discover some new technology or to birth some giant movement into this world. I am here because I am driven to understand what makes humans do the things they do and how to rewrite the mental software that runs humans. What lights me up is this. When you understand that you can control your mental programming, then I think the natural question becomes, just what exactly am I capable of doing here? What could I actually accomplish? What becomes possible in this one short life? It so lights me up. And Carly asked, would you consider doing one-on-one coaching? And I was immediately resistant, immediately thinking about my schedule and all my limitations. I don't see how that fits into my life. I do not see how I could possibly add that, which seems monumental, into my world right now. Because I genuinely love my work at the university. In fact, I picked up my laptop and I turned my camera and showed her my wall covered in love notes from my students. I love shaping their young careers before they get to go out into the world. I love thinking about how many minds that those clinicians are going to shape and touch. And of course, there's also so much of that job that's just like, administrative weight. Meetings about other meetings and committees, paperwork, a bit of politics. If I could magically cut all that away and just keep the curriculum development and the actual teaching of mindset work, that would be perfect. But Carly is not deterred. She's not deterred from this idea. And she says, you can fit in 6 people. I'm like, I don't even see how that's going to work. This is how little I think about systems. And she mapped it instantly. It's easy. You're going to do 3 clients one week, 3 the next week. You do 3 morning calls every week, and that's that. It's like, oh, when she put it like that, I realized I can absolutely do 3 calls in the morning each week. And just like that, I am not kidding. It was just like that. The identity shift inside me was immediate and total, like a switch flipped. And I heard myself say, I am no longer available for less than this level of work. This is what I want to be available for. This is what I am now available for doing. And I knew, I could tell that this was a full identity shift because I felt so detached from the outcome. I felt so attached to the mission of doing this that it didn't even matter to me whether anyone signs up. What mattered was that I made the decision to only become available for this type of work for the time being. I just surrendered to it. Just decided this is who I am now. This is the level I operate at. And that alone marked all the success I needed. And that call lit me up so much that I booked another session with her for Thursday, 2 days later. Not next month, not after I had time to think about everything and map it all. I booked it right then in that call. She just laughed and she's like, of course, I will make time for you Thursday. Because when you feel that kind of clarity, you move fast. That is the level of certainty that takes you to your next identity, your next level in this world. And this is what happens to smart women. We are so brilliant at building logical cases and picking things apart. Just look at where I was on Monday, getting lost in the weeds about YouTube, trying to figure out the perfect way to increase my audience and build value. So much wasted energy. I don't need any of that to make a massive impact right now. Because this woman that I have in my mind, the one I am getting goosebumps over working with, let me tell you who she is. She is not in crisis. She doesn't need a rock bottom to change things. Her life is actually good, maybe even really good, which makes her challenge harder, not easier. Because most people wait until they're in enough pain that taking action becomes their only option. They need some kind of breaking point to move forward, but not her. She wants to move toward what she wants without needing pain as some kind of fuel. And she gets that the human brain does not understand why someone would risk what's working really well for something unknown. But she's the kind of woman who decides that she wants more anyway. She wants a life that she never needs to escape from. She wants a daily reality that feels like it is custom crafted for her. And she's already capable. She's already proven she can do things. Her problem isn't clarity or strategy or resources. The only problem someone like this has is their mental operating system is running outdated code that cannot execute the thing she's trying to build. Because she can outthink everyone, including herself, right? So she needs someone who can see the blind spots that her own brilliance created. This is the woman who's not learning to fly anymore. She already knows how to get off the ground. She's learning how to hold her altitude. And what she's going to do with the right mental architecture, that's what gets me. She's going to create things that don't even exist yet. Build companies, write books that shift how people think, lead movements. She's going to do far greater things than I'm ever going to do. And if I get to be just a small piece of building that mental framework that makes it possible, I literally have goosebumps thinking about it. So I'm going to open myself up for 6 of these women. I'm going to be the architect for their minds so that they can build the mental structure to support what they're really here to do. And isn't that appropriate? Isn't that appropriate? Because this whole bet I'm currently in month 3 here, is about building something from energy. It is about building the energetic structure that is so undeniable that the physical world forms itself around it. And I can already feel these 6 women. They are already circling in my orbit. They're out there. And the energy is connecting us right now. Okay, so I also have to be real. Immediately after I had this very crystalline clarity, the next morning, the guilt showed up. I started thinking about the people out there who aren't going to be able to work with me at this level of investment. And am I leaving them behind? That was rolling through my head on my morning walk. And then I got this idea to do a little math equation because I started thinking only about 1% of people out there can take information and actually implement it on their own without any hand-holding, without any accountability, just take the knowledge and run. I think I'm one of those people. Typically, give me information and I'll go straight to the source, follow the chain to the origin. I love to take information and go take it into the real-time lab of my life, as I call it, and try it out and dig around. And I am quick to implement things, quick to tweak them. I take a lot of action just naturally. Not to say that I haven't needed support, especially for things like my physical transformation and for building this business. Being in rooms with entrepreneurs making way more money than I do, seeing that they have the same thoughts, the same problems, that could never come from a book, right? That's not something I could learn externally. But here's the math that I thought of. If it's true, and we don't really know if it is, that only 1% can take freely available content that's just out there and transform it, then that means we have 8.2 billion people on Earth. So 1% of that is 82 million people who could find exactly what they need in my existing content. Even if it's just 0.5%, that's still over 40 million people. That is helping me to process this feeling I have about leaving people behind, because I know those people are 1%ers. I'm viewing them as 1%ers. There are going to easily be millions of people out there who can take my Instagram content or my Substack articles and change their lives with those. So that gives me a lot of comfort. And there's still Memo, which stays at $2.97. for all those episodes. The thing I was going to turn into YouTube, it already exists. So my free content continues. My Instagram, Substack, this podcast, all of it stays. I'm just creating a new level for people who want to go deep in this work. I've realized I am not a person who can do things surface level. I am not taking away access to anything. I am creating a new level for people who want that type of proximity, who want that type of deep work, who understand that the level of transformation is proportional to the level of investment. The price point won't even be an issue because they understand the economic exchange of getting their specific mental architecture upgraded. I mean, I just did that myself. That literally happened to me this week. I spent $1,400 and walked out with a path to add $100K to my revenue. This is a very, very good investment. And I have seen this happen multiple times in my life, and I've certainly seen it happen with the clients I work with. So that's what's going down here. You're witnessing a complete business restructuring in real time. Tuesday, I thought we'd figure out a path for Memo, and by Thursday, I'm shifting my business model, stepping into an identity that was waiting underneath all along. Clearly, I'd been building this identity, and it just needed a little crack to open up, step into. All because I didn't cancel a $700 call that my fear was telling me I couldn't afford. Can you imagine if I had canceled that? I would still be spiraling about YouTube versus Instagram. Still trying to figure out what to do with Memo. Still stuck in the weeds. So week 12, and everything is different. Even though nothing external has actually changed yet. The work now, the work here, and the work you're going to watch me do is to hold the energy of this identity and to not let it collapse. Energy can feel heavy. I get it. I tell this to my clients all the time. You might have to set it down. Just like a weight gets heavy at the gym. But you pick it right back up and you keep picking it back up. You don't just decide, I can never be that. Maybe you drop the weight, but you pick it back up. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm holding this clarity about who I am and who I'm here to serve and at what level. And I'm building the energetic structure that will support the physical reality. Now go bet on yourself.